and creative when describing her. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Hillary Widener.
When Bee was born in December, everything was great, and then it wasn't until her 2-month pediatrician appointment that we brought up that the whites of her eyes looked a little yellow, and later that week she was diagnosed with a very rare liver disease called biliary atresia. In the interim, we did some research and found out that living donation is a potential option. So it was about 6 to 8 weeks, and then finally we got the final call saying, you know, you're a match, so we can kind of schedule this surgery. People have to make that decision to think outside of themselves. And you know, I think the more that Life Center, or the more that any organ donor can spread that message, the more of an impact it'll have. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks. I think that was my husband. I'm so honored to be here this morning to talk with you all about my journey with organ donation. And my journey with organ donation actually started years ago. I'm currently a digital and social media consultant for a local agency where I help businesses and nonprofits connect with people to help get their message out. For a few years, I've actually worked with Life Center on their social media strategy, and a couple years ago traveled with them to Chicago to speak at their national conference about how social media can help empower and make social change. Little did I know that just a year after that national conference, organ donation would drastically affect my own life. My husband and I are both from here. We're both from Cincinnati. He grew up on the west side, I grew up on the east side. We met at Miami University, and years later we're married. On December 28th, 2014, our lives changed forever when we welcomed our first daughter, Beatrice Kelly Widener, into our family as a very healthy and happy baby. Bee, or Queen Bee, as we fondly called her, she was a very seemingly easy baby. She was a little jaundiced when she was born, but it wasn't really into her 2-month checkup that we thought something was up. So we took her to the pediatrician and we said, you know, we have a million first-time parent questions. And one of those questions was, the whites of her eyes look a little yellow. Do you notice that, or is it just us being crazy? The pediatrician agreed, and she said, why don't we just go send you for a little bit of blood work, and we'll get the results, and I'm sure everything's gonna be fine. So we went out, we got the blood work done, and then we got the dreaded phone call that Monday evening in March of 2015, saying to us, you need to get to Children's Hospital immediately. Over the next several days and nights, we learned that Bee's liver wasn't working correctly. They suspected a rare liver disease called biliary atresia, which basically means her liver wasn't draining bile properly. She was turning more yellow by the day, and her liver was filling with poison that would eventually destroy it. Biliary atresia has no really known cause, and the only cure is typically a liver transplant. Biliary atresia only affects 300 babies a year out of the 4 million that are born. After an 8-hour procedure at Children's Hospital when she was just 2 months old to try to drain the bile from her liver, they did in fact confirm that she had biliary atresia, and the only path for her to be healthy was going to be a liver transplant. A liver transplant for our baby. It just didn't seem possible. Nothing really could ever have prepared us for the news. That was just completely shocking and life-altering. Before we knew it, Bee was listed on the deceased donor list and was waiting for her new liver. My husband carried around a pager, and we had to be ready. When it went off, we had to drop everything we were doing and rush to the hospital immediately. And having a plan of action like that was hard, but it was also good for us that there was a plan. The hardest part of it, though, was the thought about waiting. Would we be waiting a couple of days, weeks? Would we be waiting months? Could this go on for a year while the whole time watching our 2-month-old daughter's health deteriorate? We also faced with the real possibility that some children never even get a match. Their parents watch them get sicker. They're in and out of the hospital and they never get the organ that they need. Would this happen to our Bee? The way we understood it was the sicker the child, the higher up on the list that they would go. We would have to sit back and watch her health deteriorate as her chances for a donor would increase. Watching B get sicker was just not something we were prepared for, so we desperately started looking for other options. After many late-night discussions and consultations with our doctors at Cincinnati Children's, we decided to move forward with testing for living donation. Because the liver regenerates, someone can donate a portion of their organ to someone else. That portion will grow inside the recipient as it would normally, and the donor's portion would grow back to its normal size within 6 to 8 weeks. However, a living donor for liver is risky. Because the liver is such a vascular organ, the chances for major blood loss are very real, and there are very serious dangers that go along with such a surgery. Since the mother is a better donor until the child turns 3, I jumped into the testing process. The thought was that if I got cut up, my husband would jump in, and we even had a backup plan for him. The testing took 6 weeks. I had every body scan, blood test, I was poked and prodded, and I had every physical exam you could ever imagine. And I continued to push forward to get results faster so we could match and schedule the surgery date. In the meantime, we watched Beatrice get sicker, require more medications, turn more yellow, and she even stopped growing. In May of 2015, I found out what I had always known. I was the perfect match for B. Although this was a huge sigh of relief for me, a new mom, you can imagine the worry and angst this added to my family, especially my husband. We had been fighting this fight together, picking each other up when the other was down, consoling each other when we couldn't imagine the possibility of losing her. We were in it together from the start of this entire ordeal. This 10-hour surgery would be the first time we would be separated during this battle, and his 2 girls would be out of his reach with the uncertainty of the outcome. And my parents. I was so hyper-focused on saving my Beatrice, my baby, that it wasn't until I told them I was a match and saw in their eyes their huge worry that I realized that everybody is somebody else's baby. My parents were of course worried for B, but now their worry was magnified with me going in as well. Cincinnati Children's quickly sprung into action and scheduled our 10+ hour surgery with side-by-side operating rooms, 2 surgical staffs, and the top 4 leading liver surgeons in the country. Having this team surrounding us gave us immense confidence that this surgery would give B the healthy life she deserved. And it did. On July 7th, 2015, B got her liver upgrade, and I did what I was put on this earth to do, save my 6-month-old daughter's life. But now we have another mission, to help raise awareness for organ donation. I recognize that our story is different than most affected by organ donation. In some cases, parents or children or spouses lose someone in their family, and they in turn become heroes to someone else's family. Or on the flip side, people are on the receiving end of a life-saving organ. In our case, we gave and we received, and it was a success. Our story is a unique one, but it isn't unique in the fact that anyone in this room would have done the exact same thing for their own family member. You would have put your own life in danger to save your child, or your spouse, or your sister, or your parent, if you could. Most people just don't have the same circumstances. Yes, I worry all the time about B's long-term health. I worry about her getting sicker when she starts school. I worry about her standing out because she can't play in the pool with her friends. And I worry about my liver just not doing its job inside of her. I worry about a million things. But what really keeps me up at night are the families that are still waiting. The ones who are waiting and watching their child become sicker. They're watching their siblings become sicker, their mothers, their fathers, their spouses, and there isn't anything they can do about it. Those are the people I think about. If we all in this room take a pledge to help spread awareness about the power of organ donation, I'm confident that one day there won't even be a wait. So here we are today, over 1 year post-transplant, and B is doing great. She is growing, she is happy, she is sassy. And just a few weeks ago, she's been recently promoted to Big Sister. And she's alive. And she will forever be an advocate for organ donation until the wait is over. Thank you.